All right, I just wanted to say a couple more things about Chappelle's opening monologue for SNL. I'm not going to repeat everything I said before in part one. Presumably, you're watching part two of my reaction to Dave Chappelle's monologue. So I'm skipping a little bit to the end because what I'm most interested in is how he responded to Kanye West and how he essentially defended Kanye West without without being direct about it. He defended him in a way that also gave him some kind of means of shield or shelter, because it was he does it in a clever and an indirect way. You have to think about the meaning behind his punchlines and what he's actually saying when he says these things, what he's actually observing. Even if you're laughing, and I bet that a bunch of the people in the crowd watching this, are, I mean, hell, this is New York City. I bet a bunch of them are liberal as can be, but they still really like this guy. They still think he's funny, and even though he's saying things that they wouldn't necessarily say. Okay, so I'm skipping to the end here. There's a bit more interesting stuff that I want to cover, but it won't be as long as the first segment of this video.
Now the midterms are over and everybody's awake. These new whites, man, they're like the whites. They're like newborn babies. Just woke up. Everything white people are mad about, we've been on that. Man, I can't feed my family. White people like, we've been on that. Man, we can't trust the government. We've been on that. Man, we should dismantle the FBI. Word to Martin Luther King, bro. We've been on that.
Okay, so what he just said sounds like he's making fun of white people, and in a way he is. But the deeper meaning beneath that, I mean, people are going to watch, who are liberal, who are, who think rednecks are stupid and whatever, are going to just think, he's making fun of rednecks. That's funny. But what is he saying here? He's saying that white people are discovering these things that black people knew all along. That we can't see our family. He's making a reference there to the last 2 years and how they were these obscene prohibitions against visiting your loved ones in the hospital, or other kinds of things where family, some places where there's more where they had more draconian laws in place, like in Canada, as I understand it, in Australia, where if there were more than a certain number of people in a house, they would actually raid the house and arrest the people there, because he's sort of like saying, welcome to the party. We've been on that. I probably, referring to slavery, the atrocities that happened, family members being separated from one another and so forth. We can't trust the government. Now to be fair, there have been people who have said we can't trust the government on the right, on whatever you want to call them, the conspiracy right, the dissident right. That's been going on for a long time. That stretches back to Ruby Ridge and Waco, and probably even longer ago than that. So it's not exactly accurate that white people, as he puts it, are just waking up, but some are. I mean, I think that there are some who, through recent events, are waking up in ways that others, had been awake and aware of all along. And then, we can't trust the FBI. Well, word to Martin Luther King, we've been on that. So what he's saying here is you're right. You're just you're discovering things that are true, and these are things that we've already known. The joke, it's just there's a little bit of gloating or a little bit of like, yeah, we knew this already. There's a little bit of sarcasm. I will give you that. But what's at the bottom of it is, yeah, there's injustice and it's happened to us, and now it's happening to you too. And you're right. You're right, just as we were right all along about these things.
Nobody listens to me. When I tell these jokes, you ignore me. My first Netflix special, what did I say?
So this is kind of interesting. His tone gets rather somber near the end here, and even somewhat bitter and somewhat mordant, as we'll see. And just moving on.
I said, I don't want a sneaker deal, because the minute I say something that makes those people mad, they're going to take my sneakers away. And the whole crowd's like, ha, 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 ha. And now you see Kanye walking around L.A. barefoot with his chain out. This guy lost $1.5 billion in a day.
Okay, so notice how he's framing Kanye losing his money, and he says that I don't. He said he didn't want a sneaker deal. Chapelle says I never wanted a sneaker deal because if I said something that they didn't like, they would cut me off. I would be left behind. They would disassociate from me. And then he says that's exactly what's happened to Kanye. Now you see him walking around barefoot with his chain out. That's a reference to what he said earlier about how you have your chain out if you're a billionaire, or you tuck in your chain if you're a billionaire. But now he's not a billionaire anymore because he lost $1 billion and change overnight. But the way that he frames it here, pay attention to that. The way that he frames this joke is, I didn't want to do a sneaker deal because if I said something they didn't like, they would fire me. And so normally the way that people talk about Kanye West, the respectable thing to say is, oh, he was anti-Semitic and Adidas rightly disassociated from him, and all right-thinking people should think that this was that he got what he deserved. But that's not how Chapelle talks about it here. He says, I told y'all this would happen. If I or Kanye, or by implication another black man, says something that they don't like, that they we're going to get back to the they in a minute, but that they don't like, then they'll fire me or him or whoever. And so again, this is expressing sympathy for Kanye. It's not saying he got what he deserved. Just like the opening apology that he read out, where he said, "I stand in solidarity with the Jewish community," blah blah blah. And that's how you buy Kanye is how you buy yourself some time. He's again expressing sympathy for Kanye West. Again, in a roundabout way, in a way that's not direct, but still notable.
$1.5 billion in a day. I saw that. I said, "Put your chain on, nigga. Welcome back." It shouldn't be this scary to talk.
Now he gets somber again.
It's making my job incredibly difficult. And to be honest with you, I'm getting sick of talking to a crowd like this. I love you to death. And I thank you for your support. And I hope they don't take anything away from me. Whoever they are. We got a great show tonight.
Okay, I hope they don't take anything away from me. And then he looks up again, his eyes dart about it, and he says, whoever they are. I mean, the implication is clear who he means by they. And he's not making fun of the idea of they being who Kanye said they are. In fact, he's suggesting that it's true, and he even said earlier it's certainly not an unreasonable assumption to make that Jews run Hollywood, but it's not something you want to say out loud. And here he says it again, whoever they are, and we know exactly who he means when he says they. So a pretty masterful bit of not only comedy, but a rhetorical defense of freedom of speech, a rhetorical defense of of Kanye West and of Kyrie Irving, but performed in such a way that that you're laughing in spite of yourself. Even if you don't want to laugh, he makes you laugh. Now people are still mad at him. People like the ADL wrote something in response to this monologue saying, why is Jewish suffering never taken seriously? So it's not like he's totally eluded people being angry with him or wanting to cancel him. Not at all. Not in the least. But he's charting a course of, saying the unsayable, but saying it in a way that, he squeaks by as, respectable enough to be, hosting Saturday Night Live and to be a huge, A-list Hollywood star. So he's charting a course. He's got this balancing act going. I believe he's made some kind of compromise that he feels he can live with. And it's just interesting to watch. So let me know your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.